Welcome. Thanks for joining us. I'll be your host today for a discussion about how our clients are reinventing their business to secure their future and how PwC and Google Alliance are enabling their success. My name is James Bova. I lead the US Google Alliance for PwC, and I'm very pleased today to be joined by my partner Tom Archer, who's the Global Google Alliance leader, as well as Murali, Sitaram, who leads the Google Alliance program. A replay of today's webcast will be available using the same link in 24 hours. So let's get into today's discussion. Why did PwC and Google form this alliance over a year ago? Tom, specifically, how does this alliance help our clients transform to reinvent their business?
You know, James, I'm very excited to share with our viewers today an update of the PwC Google Alliance. You know, our clients across all industries are facing unprecedented change and disruption, and they're looking for ways to continue to generate value and remain relevant for their stakeholders. And the two of the world's leading brands have come together, Google and PwC, to help our clients along those journeys. And from PwC, we bring a very deep industry knowledge across a number of industries. We bring a broad set of capabilities across a number of different capability sets, as well as over 200,000 people around the world that have relationships with boards and executives, again, across a number of different industries. And so we're up and running now in 24 countries in just a little bit over a year. We've opened up a number of innovation centers in the US and in Canada, a couple of places in the UK, as well as in Australia. And we got 4 initial solution sets, which I'm really looking forward to walking through on today's webcast. And the interest level from the clients across all industries has been incredibly strong, as well as from governmental organizations across a number of countries.
Mm-hmm. You know, now more than any period in history, technology is connecting people. It's changing the way business is done. It's creating new experiences and new business models and products and services every day in all aspects of our lives. We're seeing many tech-enabled companies as new entrants come into traditional industries and disrupt and really change the game. Is this just a fad, or is something bigger going on? Tom, maybe you can shed some light on what's happening in this marketplace that we're seeing.
You know, I definitely don't think it's a fad. And in fact, we have the evidence from PwC's Global CEO Survey that we publish each year at Davos. And this year, in our 19th survey, those themes continue to come forward. You know, the CEOs are worried about the economic growth broadly, as well as the growth of their own businesses and within their industries. You know, they're worried about the increasingly complex, world and the environments that they need to operate in. They use words like a divergent set of markets or the sort of multipolar characteristics of the different markets. They're also worried about technology and how technology is changing. But technology also brings opportunity for them. In fact, over 80% of the CEOs said that they thought technology could bring them new types of value in the way that they could enable collaboration and also productivity. But the flip side of that is nearly half of those same CEOs are worried about attracting the talents to be able to carry them into that change, to bring them the necessary skill sets that they could go capture those new opportunities. So that's what our CEO survey said and the evidence there. But the flip side of that is technology is also creating new opportunities for our clients in all industries. In fact, our UK firm recently published a survey around the connected living environment, and we believe that particular economy will be over $1 trillion by 2020, covering a number of different industries, whether it's in healthcare or transportation, entertainment, media, a number of industries that are being impacted by this connected living concept. But for our clients to really be able to capture those opportunities, they're going to have to leverage technology in cloud and mobile and analytics, artificial learning and machine learning alike in new ways. And that's what we're really excited about, is how we can work together and help our clients go capture those new opportunities.
The number one thing is that you're starting to think about within PwC how you're going to disrupt yourself as well, because that's the first thing you need to do to be able to go advise somebody else to do it. And part of that is to take a very traditional, highly regulated company of 150 years and take that to the cloud, which is a very sweet spot for how we can help you as well. So I see a lot of linkages between what you're doing, what we're doing, and what your customers can see.
We've begun our own journey, haven't we?
Yeah.
And same journey our clients need to embark on as well.
So, that talks a little bit about the industry that PwC is in, but Tom, can you elaborate a bit on what you're seeing going on in some of the other key industries that the PwC Google Alliance is focused around?
Yeah, I'd be happy to, James. In fact, the PwC and Google Alliance came together to address these needs and opportunities that Murali and I just spoke about. Our overall theme is how we're helping our clients to reinvent their businesses to remain relevant. And we've got 4 initial offering sets that we're working with our clients to help go capture that value. One is called Reinvent Value. The second one's called Reinvent Work. The third is around Reinventing Security. And then the fourth is Reinventing IT. And so you mentioned the industries. The Reinvent Value is really our sector or industry-based solution area. And that's where we're helping our clients leverage the Google technologies to be able to change the way they deliver value to their customers, or the way they might do a particular workflow in their business, or the way they connect with their supply side, whether that's their employees or whether it's other partners or suppliers. And so the Reinvent Value solution, we've been helping, say, in the retail and consumer space with a retailer trying to create the store of the future. And how are they leveraging Google's technologies from the cloud and collaboration to machine learning or analytics to really change the way that maybe the store employee is engaging with that customer when they come in. So
that's actually creating a linkage between the online experience that customer experiences, as well as the brick and mortar experience, and blending that too, if I'm correct.
That's right. That's right. So it creates both that on-prem and online connection, but it also allows that retailer to be able to connect with that employee or with that customer in a more predictive way, in a way that's not invasive to that customer, but in a way that the customer feels like they're getting more value and loyalty, and really meeting their needs in the moment of when that customer is looking for something.
PwC is starting to work with its own customers to say, let's transform the way that you conduct your basic business practices, how your people collaborate to invent new products or new services. And it's easy for a consulting company to go and say that, right? That's what companies would expect you to do. But the fact that you have started to reinvent yourself internally, to look at the tools and the way certain work artifacts are created within PwC, within your sectors and within your practices, is effectively giving you the first-hand knowledge of how to help companies sort of change themselves. So reinvent work, it's a sort of a loaded term. What does that mean, right? The fact is that we've been doing work in a certain way for quite some time, but these new technologies, especially cloud and mobile technologies, gives you a whole new form and new ways in which you can take simple business processes, transform them, and do them in a simpler, faster, cheaper way. And that means that you have to take your original processes, study them, and say, how could you reapply technology against them? And that's exactly what you've done internally. Let's say you're doing an audit practice, you're going to work with your clients and your customers, you're looking at the work items and steps and saying, is there a better way to do it with Google Docs, with Drive, with Hangouts? Can I bring a whole new set of skills together to solve a problem faster? What can I do with cloud-based storage and platforms so that I can do forensic analysis or look at data or look at content and get new insights? And I think that's the sort of thing that you're getting first-hand experience for, and you're in a position to go and help our customers. We've now started to talk to customers in age-old industries, financial services, utilities, consulting firms such as yourselves, even companies in technology that, believe it or not, haven't moved forward with technology. And so each of them are seeing the value of your adoption cycles and your services. So I'm really thrilled about that because, we're a technology company. We've used these technologies for a while. It's sort of second nature to us. What we don't know is how to teach or tell or show somebody the value of these technologies without your experience in between.
And Murali, one of the solutions that we've developed with you around the Reinvent Work offering under the PwC Google Alliance is something we call Accelerate Google, which is how we'll go in and work with companies that have adopted the Google Apps technology and broader suite, and how do they actually accelerate the capture of that value that you're talking about, and looking across really 4 dimensions of how are they using the technologies, how are they driving collaboration, how are they driving productivity, and also how are they driving innovation. And as you mentioned, PwC has already gone Google as well, and we're learning from our own lessons and then developing tools to go capture that value faster, and we're bringing that out to our clients as well. So we have over 140 artifacts that we've developed from our own internal rollout that are helping to do accelerations or frameworks to go capture that value faster. And we're bringing that to our clients to help them capture that value faster as well.
You know, James, I'd like to add a point to that. You know, you have a very diverse workforce. You have some people who are very senior and have been at the firm for 20 or 30 years. You have a whole bunch of young folks that have been used to these new technologies, the millennials and so on. Your average age is what, 25?
27, I think.
It's pretty amazing, right? So you have a very diverse workforce, and you have a whole different set of use cases and a set of adoption services and metrics. Many of our customers that have gone Google first started using just the email platform, and they started using Calendar, which is sort of a natural extension. Then they started to see the value of the collaboration tools, but not all of them have gone through that entire transformative experience that you have. So if you take those 140 use cases and start going back to some of our existing customers and saying how they can see the full value of our platforms, and then continue to build on that expertise and then bring it to the rest of our business, we think we can, you know, maybe it's facetious to say, but we could affect productivity of a lot of companies out there.
So let me share an example, and this kind of ties back to our reinvent value theme, but where we took that mail and calendar and how do you go to the next level theme, what we've done in, let's say, the field services space. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to talk, James, about the announcement of our new field services, demo that we built, leveraging Google's technologies. I mean, field services is a workflow or an organizational structure that's been around for years, and there's lots of technologies that drive that. And what we wanted to do was really change the dynamic of the way that the field worker engages with the customer, as well as engages back up with the dispatcher and the dispatcher to the management, not by some heavy technology load that was going to take years to put in place, but it was more about how to drive the coolness factor, how to drive the speed and agility, and how to bring some of these consumer experiences into that engagement model with the stakeholders down to the customer all the way back up through the organization. And so I think in about a 6 to 8 week time frame, we were able to pull together this field services demo that you're seeing now, which really drives that connectivity in a different way. And it uses some of the enabling techniques of gamification and collaboration, video conferencing hangout, as well as knowledge sharing in a different way that pulls the data out of the existing systems, but then allows the management team member, the dispatcher, the field worker, and the customer to really to engage in a different experience than they have before.
Tom, that field service application sounds very exciting. I understand, Murali, we also have some success at Thames Water in a similar but different way. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, Thames Water is the UK utility. They provide sewage and water services to the City of London. And they're a 150-plus-year-old firm. They wanted to provide a different experience to their field workers. And they went to the IT teams, and the IT team said, this is going to cost you millions of pounds, and it's going to take months, if not years, to go deliver. They came to PwC, and PwC said, well, we can work with Google, and we can use cloud-based technologies. And what we built along with one of our partners, Apps Broker, PwC led the charge where we built a field worker portal where field workers can get access to their co-workers, to experts. They can get their schedules. They can get a clear sense of all the assets they need to solve that customer problem at that specific point in time. Slightly different from the other example you gave with the prototype you talked about, which is more about gamification and connectivity within the field worker community, as well as the dispatchers and management. Here it's all about the field worker, and it's about giving them a one pane of glass for all the things that they need. And that was done in a matter of months. And I think that was an amazing sort of solution to this field worker question that we talked about.
And that's also an example, Murali, where we're doing a rapid sprint solution like that with Thames Water, help really open up the opportunities that Thames Water saw, how they could further leverage the Google technologies and think about different workflows that they could leverage your technologies to really drive a different experience. So it also serves as a great proof point about the art of the possible.
Exactly.
As I listen to both of you talk, what dawns on me is that if I'm in the IT organization of some of these enterprises, I'm probably a little bit worried about how I'm going to keep the lights running, as well as really face off to this innovation and this disruption and reinvention that we've been talking about here. And at GCP Next earlier in the month, we heard Eric Schmidt talk a lot about no ops, in IT. And Tom, at PwC, we have the the new IT platform where we talk about DevOps and sizing IT capability to face off against the dynamic needs of what we're talking about in the business, in the new realities that exist in the marketplace. So against that backdrop, Tom, how does our Reinvent IT pillar support this empowerment need that these IT departments are going to need to face off against? Can you share a little bit about that for us here?
Sure, I'd be happy to, James. The Reinvent IT solution that we've built under the Google PwC Alliance is one that really helps the CIO and the CIO organization adapt their business model and organizational structure to move to a more hybrid environment, to start embracing the cloud and really beginning that journey of leveraging these newer technologies like the cloud and mobility and analytics to then to support the business as they go through their changes. So our Reinvent IT solution really has four main areas that we bring to market. One's around cloud transformation services, one's around high velocity IT, the third is around real-time information delivery and analytics, and the fourth is something that we call the Cloud Next solutions. But today I'd really like to dive a little deeper into the cloud transformation solutions, because this is really one of the first steps in the journey that CIOs are going to take as organizations start to embrace cloud in a more overall business architecture way. And one of the first areas that they look at is how do they take some of their existing workloads or their applications and start to migrate them over to cloud environments like the Google Cloud Platform. And there has to be a strategy both based on the type of app and the timeline to do that. And that's one of the elements that we do under the cloud transformation services is around workload or application migration. But two other areas under there are around burst capacity. Because as companies are starting to leverage data in different ways and really need that higher compute capacity on different bursts, they can receive that supply, if you will, from the Google Cloud Platform by leveraging their compute engine and other technologies on the Google Cloud Platform. And that's around the bursting solution. The third area is around storage. And the Google Cloud Storage technologies provide a number of different ways to leverage their storage solutions in a much more efficient and agile way than traditional tape or other on-prem or even off-prem sort of hosted storage type environments. And then lastly, around disaster recovery. This is not necessarily an area that gets a lot of attention on the front page, but you need it when it happens. And Google has, with their cloud platform, can really provide disaster recovery services in a different way than some of the traditional architectures by, again, leveraging the agility, cost, and speed of the technologies on the Google Cloud Platform.
So Murali, against what Tom just said, how are some of the things, what are some of the things that Google is doing to sort of enable what Tom was talking about just there?
If you think about it, there are probably still some IT teams out there that are racking up servers and pulling cable and creating networks and then installing software. And by the time you get to write any code, weeks have passed, months, lots of dollars. What we want to try to do with the help of PwC is to free up these IT teams so that they can innovate fast on behalf of their businesses and become relevant again. That's what reinventing IT is all about. So how do we do this? We want to make sure that over time, all developers out there, all sorts, shapes, sizes, industries, effectively can look like and feel like they're working in one of these modern companies, such as Google, where you effectively are writing code and all of the deployment and all of the back-end work, the scaling, the sizing, the delivery, the connectivity is all taken care for you. And from our perspective, we are not that far away. That's sort of the third wave we were talking about at GCP Next. And our goal is to effectively help developers get there. So really, if you think about it, how do you improve productivity? Is like if you get people to focus on the things that are most important and take away things that are not that important or just building blocks to getting there. And that to me is the essence of what we're looking at. You talked about storage. We have a product called Nearline, which is pretty amazing. It gives you the SLAs of tape storage in some sense for the cost benefits of something that you might have paid in the past. But the SLAs and the performance metrics that you get are like instant availability. So let's say you had an audit, you had to go back 10 years to look at certain things. You could store things on Nearline storage. It costs you next to nothing to store it, but you have the retrieval access of instantaneous availability, so you can do the analytics that's required. These are fundamentally going to change how we look at, do you worry about when you have a Gmail inbox, I'm sure you have one at home, you don't worry about how many emails you store anymore, right? You just search and it's there and you never delete things, I presume. because there's this endless storage at the bottom.
You should see how many photos I have.
And then,
Google
yeah,
Photos.
photos is the other thing. And if the system starts becoming intelligent on your behalf, it starts taking away the drudgery of going through your email, having to delete things and so on. I stopped doing that now. So it's pretty amazing. So just simple things, how it can reinvent what IT teams can deliver for their customers.
So ultimately, we're talking about freeing up the IT department to focus on heart of the business issues that they need to solve, to innovate and fight off this disruption that's coming from these pure plays. In that regard, moving to the cloud can be scary for our clients and our customers. Privacy and consumer protection are more challenging than ever in today's connected world with cyber threats that we hear every day. Securing assets, shouldn't have to mean saying no to this innovation, this transformation that we spoke about. Tom, in our last pillar, Reinvent Security, could you discuss a little bit how PwC is enabling our clients and IT departments and organizations to be liberated from those cyber and security concerns so they can innovate in the cloud using all the things that we've talked about to reinvent their business?
Yeah, James, as I've traveled around the world with this alliance, as I mentioned, we're up and running now in 24 countries. Security is one of the top two issues that every client brings up as they start thinking about how to leverage these newer technologies. And so we're really excited to talk about our Reinvent Security solution under the PwC Google Alliance. And we tasked and asked our global cyber team to really leverage some of the Google core DNA around innovation and thinking about 10x. And so how could they think about 10x as it relates to security? Because if you look at enterprise security today, it's the types of technologies that are out there are not keeping up with the level of sophistication of some of these threat actors. And if you look at the data on attacks and penetrations, they continue to go up at 50% or so CAGRs each year, according to our Global Information Security Survey. And so how do you think differently about it? And the question wasn't of how secure is Google, it's how can you be more secure with Google? How can you be more secure in a cloud environment than the environment that you have today? And that was the underlying premise that our cybersecurity team took when they developed the security analytics solution under our Reinvent Security pillar. So the good news is, though, that as our clients are continuing to generate lots of more data, is that data can also be used in their threat monitoring. But most of the systems today that our clients are using, the log information they're capturing and then the analysis that they're doing, they don't have the compute power or the ability to bring all this other data in, like operational data or other third-party data, to really do it, and to do it in real time. And so what we've built on the Google Cloud Platform is the ability to take that same security log data of our clients, bring it up to the Google Cloud Platform, but also bring their operational data up as well, what I call the good data that's able to then bounce against the security data to provide different types of algorithms and anomalies and pattern detection. We then bring other third-party open source data and then PwC proprietary data from our Threat Intelligence Fusion Center. And then we built an analytic engine on BigQuery on the Google Cloud Platform. And that analytic engine currently is able to analyze over 3 million security incidents per second. And then that information is then fed back down to our client in real time so to provide them more effective monitoring of their existing environment than they would be able to do typically on their own data centers, just because of the sheer volume and speed and so forth. And so it's very exciting. We've had a lot of really exciting interest both in the US and in a number of international countries about leveraging this new cloud-based monitoring service, which is a SaaS service that PwC delivers to our clients.
And Murali, I understand at the recent Teamwork conference earlier in the year, PwC won an award for this solution. I know, being involved around this, we were really, really happy about being able to work with some of the very, very talented security people that you have in your organizations in the hundreds. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, first of all, this is the thing I think of all the solutions we've talked about, I'm most excited about personally, but for a couple of reasons. One is any company of any size, that has assets in multiple places, that is maybe upper end of mid-market and above, will require a solution like this. Just imagine if you're sitting at home and you had no idea who else is in your home, right? They're just pilfering, they're looking into your most prized assets, they're picking up things, and they've been there for months. You have no idea, right? This is really what most CEOs are worried about within their own data centers, within their own IP and data that they have, is that they have no idea, right? And so what PwC had been doing for some time is to build this, through the knowledge that they have through their audit and advisory practices. You've built this analytics platform that you happen to have run on premises, customer premises in the past. That's sort of interesting to me because the very network that was probably compromised ran the analytics as well in some cases. So it's an ideal solution to abstract away from the enterprise, move it into the Google Cloud platform, and do it in such a way that it can be ubiquitously deployed for a variety of customer needs, and to effectively monitor the networks the customer has on a constant basis. So that's one that's sort of very exciting. The second reason why that's very exciting is that the Google Cloud Platform uniquely has capabilities that makes this solution even more potent. The amount of data that you can store for the cost basis of those the data elements, and the fact that you can forensically go back in history and see when certain anomalies were first detected and when certain threats were more pervasively, impactful within an organization, marrying the good data that you were talking about to see which systems were breached and when is just an amazing solution. And through your SOCs that you're now putting in place, you can monitor this and provide that as a service to your customers on a constant basis. So it marries the power of cloud with the fact that you're an audit and advisory firm, with the core skill sets that you've built with these customers over time to help protect the customer's most important assets. And I think that's just a magical sort of solution. So I'm very excited about that. That's one of the reasons why the award was given. But really what's amazing is as we've gone and started talking to customers, the security analytics solution has given them complete confidence about going to the Google Cloud Platform, even in other areas of using Google Apps, which means that those companies we know will get better, right? They'll be more secure. They'll have deeper and better productivity with their employees, and they'll be able to react to circumstances better. And if all that can happen because of one solution, then it's an amazing thing.
We talked a lot of cool things today about how enterprises can approach reinventing business. And as we think about these cool things, and as we think about our clients coming onto the cloud, leveraging the power of collaboration in the Google Apps Suite, what are some of the other things coming down the road that will really be the next innovations that once those enterprises get there can take advantage of?
It's interesting, James, as many of our clients are just beginning their journey of embracing the cloud and thinking about how to reinvent their businesses, they're also very interested in what's next. And they're all hearing about and talking quite a bit about things like artificial intelligence and machine learning. And so some of those technologies exist today and some are continuing to be adapted for different use cases. And we're currently working with clients in a number of industries around those types of newer enabling technologies and thinking how they can be built into recipes to completely redesign how certain workflow or data is analyzed. And so take working with a retail company now, as I mentioned before, on the store of the future, but also how they're leveraging machine learning with the supply chain side of the house as well to be able to do better predictability around how the products are flowing through the distribution, through the stores, and back to the supply chain. And so I think machine learning and artificial intelligence are one of those what's here now, but also will continue to evolve on what's next.
And Murali, Google has made significant investments in this area of deep learning and machine learning. And just a couple of weeks ago, I believe the AlphaGo project beat the best Go player, or I think it was 4 out of 5. But that's really exciting, this technology. I see this as value add over the cloud and the infrastructure. Tell us a little bit more about how Google sees this.
I think that's such a unique asset that we have on Google Cloud Platform, machine learning capabilities. And at GCP Next, we talked about our vision APIs. You see that in Google Photos as a consumer-oriented app, but the ability to look at images and draw inference and insights, it's pretty amazing. The speech APIs as well, which learn on ML platforms. And of course, some of these amazing things with the most complex game that man has invented or humans have invented with Go. That's just an example of the sorts of power that machine learning has. And I think there's just so many things that you can do with it. What we don't know is the use cases that it can be applied to within an industry. That's where you come in as PwC. and the people watching this telecast, if there's a way for you to think about deep, hard problems that can be solved only with lots of, going through voluminous data and learning from it and then relearning from it. I think that there's an opportunity for us to solve all sorts of hard problems in business as well with machine learning. I think the one other thing that we should add in terms of what's coming up next is Internet of Things platforms and layers as well, if you will. We've got, with low-powered Android platforms, the ability of taking any device and having an Android component within it that can then talk back to GCP and effectively sort of create this Internet of Things. But that just creates such a vast opportunity for us collectively to solve customers' problems in those specific verticals and areas.
I was just going to add, Murali, some have called this the fourth industrial revolution, and how these sensors or cyber elements are being connected to physical, whether that's people or processes or workflow, in a system environment, in a systematic way. These cyber physical systems, whether it's an IoT or whether it's around machine learning, artificial intelligence, or things like assisted software, or the whole bots, that whole concept. But I think it's really exciting. We're at the very beginning of the opportunities for our clients to determine how they're going to play in these new spaces, as well as how they're going to leverage these technologies to really redo what they do today in completely different ways and different cost paradigms.
Well, I'd like to thank you both for your time. This has been a great conversation. And I would say to our clients and prospects watching this that your opportunity to change is now. Before your industry gets disrupted by competition, you need to disrupt yourself, just like we are actually doing at PwC, and just like this alliance is formed to help enable. There's three specific steps you can take on the slide. We'd love to have a discussion about Google and PwC and how the alliance can help you reinvent your business. Please reach out to your local PwC partner or your Google representative to talk about what's next. Innovation labs are a tremendous way to incubate and think through how you can apply these technologies that we've been talking about today in your business to create new business models and transform your organization. Visit us online at google.pwc.com to learn more. Going forward, as Tom mentioned, there'll be 3 additional webcasts that go deeper into Reinvent Work, Reinvent Value, and Reinvent IT. So please look for those. Along the session, there was live Q&A as well, and you'll be seeing the answers to those questions that we unfortunately didn't get to due to time. So thank you again for joining. Thank you to my panelists and fellow partner. Good night, or goodbye, or good morning.